smidge. That way. So, hi everyone, it's So Giraffe here. I am working on fixing up the cow plush. If you have any questions about what was the issue, let me go over them briefly. So, everything kind of went well. However, this part is a little bit too square for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and make it so it's more of a round piece to the bottom. So I'm going to first try to just sew it up. I'm going to take off his head and then I'm going to turn it right side out. And then I am going to try and sew around to see if that fixes the issue. This is kind of like my first step usually when I'm doing troubleshooting. So let me switch the camera around and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to get started by removing his head from his body. So first off, I'm going to remove his arms. So basically what I'm looking for is stitches that I have done. Let me see if I can get a good shot on there. I think I found a couple. They're like right there. Normally you would use a thread that would match the color of your fabric, but since this one is more of a test one and being used for the instructions for my plush, I use darker thread than I would normally. So we're just going to reach in there. We're going to go underneath the thread and kind of pull on it a little bit, and that'll catch. There's a little blade like right there in the middle, and that will cut up the thread. So let's just kind of go in here. We're going to keep kind of lightly pulling on the arm so that way it can get away from the body. Okay, one arm removed. And then ideally I would have done this, I would have seen it before I attached the arms, but oh well. So let's go ahead again. Like as you can see, there is, let me see here, there's the thread. You can just barely see it. So let's go in there and move it. There we go. Done. That one came off a lot easier because I had kind of noticed the issue when I was sewing that arm. So now we're going to take the head off the body and let me see here. This one I know I sewed on really well. So oh, is that one? Is that a head? Is that a piece of thread? Nope. Oh, maybe. No, that's just a seam for the dart. Oh, here we go. There is a nice little juicy thread right there. Just go ahead and go in under it and cut. This one obviously I'm gonna have to trim a lot more of the threads to get the head to come off completely. So sometimes it's really hard to get the head to come off. That one actually wasn't too bad. Okay, so we're gonna set the head off to the side. I'm actually pretty happy with how the head turned out. And then let's grab the body here. So we're actually gonna take the stuffing out of the body. So get a Ziploc here. Go ahead and put the rest of the stuffing down in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it out. Still good stuffing, so there's no point getting rid of it. Okay. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my sewing machine so I can get warmed up. Not that it needs to, but still. Okay. Turn that on. So I think this is where the issue is, because as you can see, let me lay this out here. This is very square. So what I want to do is I want to try to do a more gradual curve. So let me get out a Sharpie. Normally you would use like an air dissolving pen. Don't really want to use that. Want to see how much of a curve I need to take off of the pattern. Let me go in here. I'm gonna go whoop. Okay, so we're gonna try and sew up that little section right there. So let me get some pins from Kiwi. Thank you, Kiwi, you're an excellent assistant. Okay, let's go in here and boop. Maybe. There we go. And there we go. Okay, so as you can see, got it all kind of pinned up. It's pinned up on the other side. I can see the other side of the pins poking through. Put my bobbin in. And I'm actually using blue thread right now because I'm working on my stitch plushes. And also this will be good because I can easily see where the stitch line is and stuff. Gotta get this bad boy threaded up. Try not to bump the camera, so hopefully that doesn't happen here. Okay, put that down. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the automatic threader. God bless the inventor of automatic threader. Oh, fantastic. Unless that person's horrible, and then good help. But anyhow, okay, so we're gonna get started here. I'm gonna keep the length as is. I don't mind ripping it out a little bit if I need to. So let's go in here. We're gonna go ahead and just slowly do it. Normally I do it a little bit faster, but for this specific circumstance, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it at this speed. Usually I have music playing while I'm sewing, so this is definitely something kind of, it's a little too quiet for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the thread. Doesn't really matter if it's tied off or not. Okay, I did miss a little bit of the line, but I think that might work out in my favor. So let's go in and let's copy that exact same path or cutoff on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the project in half. I'm going to match up the seams. Okay, so this is where it ends. So let me get my Sharpie out here. Okay, sorry, I was a little off camera there. So we're going to match it up. These seams are going to be matching. And we're going to kind of pull it back a little bit. And blue thread kind of stops right here. Do a dot. And then we're going to come over here. And then we're going to do another little dot right there. And then we're going to do a curve between the two of them. Kind of in the same general format. And we're going to pin it and sew it, and let's see what turns out. That. So now, it's cutting off a little bit of the butt, but that'll be helpful. I might cut off that little piece too on the bottom. Okay. Let's turn this right side out. Can't really tell if this worked or not, so let's go ahead and stuff this, and then we could see how it turned out. Now, normally what you want to do when you're stuffing is you want to rip up the pieces a little bit and then add them in smaller portions. However, since this is just a practice, not necessarily concerned, or, you know, not practice, but just seeing how I want it to fill out. I think that's actually going to work. Okay, let me go ahead and make sure I can just line this up. Okay. Alrighty then. A little bit of issues right there. Like, obviously you can't, but I'm feeling it. And there's like a couple little bumps right here, and I know that's kind of where the seams are. Yeah, that's where the two seams are. That would be, you should just feel on the inside. Yep, that's exactly where the seams are. So I know that's kind of causing that issue on a little bit of the squareness, but honestly, I'm kind of okay with that, because then I could use this as a guide for the legs. So we'll have the legs be a bit more, so that way they kind of come in and they're not just sticking straight out. I think actually that might be perfect. Let's go in here. Let's Just use that needle, a dull needle I have, and then I'll use a pin for the other side. Oh, that might be perfect right there. Oh yeah, because then that'll give them a little bit more bottom space to sit down. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take out that pin because that has nothing to do with this, and then I'm gonna go in and update my pattern so that way I know how much to take off. So I am going to be doing, normally I would just scan this, and I'm thinking I might just do that. I think it might be the easier option for sure. So let me go in here and I'll go ahead and scan it, and then I'll bring you back when I'm working on it in Inkscape where I do my patterns. So BRB. Hi everyone, so this is me in Inkscape right here. My first little part, I actually forgot to save it, so I do apologize for that. But so what I'm doing right now is I'm combining the two pathways for the project, and then I am working on the updated belly to get more of that curve shape. And this way I'm combining the nodes, making sure that it's one continuous line. So that way when I go in to duplicate it and then make it bigger, it'll be easier for me to do that. As you can see off to the side, I had the scans with me, and I was using them for good reference, so then that way I can make them the right size. Or the curves the right size. Here I am making the outer outline bigger. And then I'm just going to update the dart a little bit. I want like a little bit more extra fabric in the dart section. And as you can see, I'm just kind of bringing it in just a little bit, just manually, just to make sure that the dart has enough fabric. Alright, I'm going to update this and then put it in the pattern as a whole. So here I'm getting ready to start working on the bottom piece. So I pulled it out from the main pattern section that I have, and then I'm going to take my scan and I'm going to move it over there. And so when you want to turn, you would just click on it again, and that helps you get, or that allows you to turn it. Otherwise you're just moving it around. Unfortunately I did it the wrong way because my brain told me that the flat part would be at the top, but it's actually at the bottom. So I think in the future, I think I'll try to remember to scan the whole thing, or the whole piece, or maybe even just cut it apart and then scan from there. But because usually I just kind of guesstimate how it is, but this seems to be a little bit easier on the process, maybe a little bit quicker. So kind of matching it up, I'm going to go ahead and do a line segment and get it going there so I can put the curve in, and then I will be right back after I combine all the paths and stuff. Alright then, so now I'm going to work on doing the sides and then fixing up the tail piece. So I'm not going to drag you through all that. It's basically the same format over and over again for those two pieces. So, and then once I'm done, I'll go ahead and print out the updated pattern, get that going, and then I will cut out a new cow to sew up. And this one I will use just traditional minky, not the furred minky, and see if that comes out okay. And then I will be uploading and doing the pattern later on this week. I'm aiming for Saturday. So just be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so that way you don't miss out on the updated pattern. Thanks. Have a good day now. Bye.